Good evening, everyone. We're in that intimate period between Christmas and New Year. I'm clearly still drunk, so I don't really know what's going on. This is the members only show, coming exclusively to our members. So welcome to you all. Merry Christmas. Hope you're all looking forward to. Well, you've all had a good festive period. Looking forward to New Year's holiday tomorrow. Tonight, I'm joined by Scotty Boy. How are you?
I'm okay.
In fact, that's me.
Breaking news. How are you doing, Scotty?
That? Who was that?
I have no guy.
Someone's getting a slap on the wrist.
Somebody's hacked
Graham?
your computer.
I'm all good,
it's not me. Graham, how you doing? God, this has been a great start. And Craig, last time I saw you got absolutely humped in the quiz. So have you recovered?
I think that was my computer. I've sat here for 25 minutes online and no problem. And the minute it goes live, my computer decides to make a massive noise, and I don't know. So I'm just going to mute myself for the rest of the pod, I think.
Yeah. Well, I was going to make a comment about the accent, but I don't think I'm that far away, so I'll refrain from that anyway. As I said, this is the member show. This is going out to absolutely everyone. Oh God, I don't know what's going on. This is the member show. It's going out to absolutely everyone tomorrow. We're here to preview the Old Firm game on the 2nd, dissect a bit of the Motherwell game. I don't think we've done that yet. And to be honest, I can't think of a better crowd to do that with. So jumping straight into it, Scott, what are your thoughts after the Motherwell game? Not going into the actual game specifically, but now we're sitting on with Beale in charge, 4 wins out of 4. Is it as positive as I think it is? Or are we just, okay, at the moment, we're just seeing where we are?
I think it's positive. I think we've looked good in the games at certain spells during the games. I watched the Motherwell game back because I didn't go, and I thought it was better than a lot of folk were saying on social media and what I was reading. I'm not saying it was 100% great, but I thought it was actually better than people were putting comments about or reading reports about. So I was just my opinion, but I'm actually happy. 4 games out of 4 wins. I'm just taking every game as it comes, Scotty. I'm not going to look too far ahead because he needs this wee bit before the start of next season to get to know what players he really needs to keep. I think he'll have a rough idea now, and then it depends how much money he gets again in the summer. But I think he's got a rough idea who he can trust and who he can't trust. But I'm happy with progress. I've seen wee bits each game that we're getting better. I've seen the shapes be a bit better. So I think it's better than expected, put it that way.
Good. That's how I'm feeling. I watched the game and I was pleasantly surprised. There's a lot of attacking football. We haven't really got the zip yet or the accuracy, but you can definitely see signs of improvement, can't you, Graham? And just before I just come to you on any comments, Aldo, thank you very much. I see in the comments there's a lot of people saying hello, good evening to you, Merry Christmas first and foremost, or festive greetings, whatever way you want to look at it. Graham, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with Keir with a lot of it, and I agree with Michael Beale at the press conference today that he's quite happy with the final third, and he's allowing the players to kind of do their tricks and be brave on the ball, run at defenders and stuff like that. And I'm seeing that as well, but it's just kind of the midfield kind of controlling the game, and then we're kind of suspicious to counter attacks as well, which obviously he's got to be working on. So Michael Beale's saying that today, so obviously he knows it as well. So I'm seeing positives, and we're seeing players kind of coming back to glimpses of form in past years. So I kind of positive and encouraged is the word I've been using for these 4 games.
Yeah, good. Right, so Caroline, you love these member pods. I love these member pods. If you're watching this tomorrow and you're not a member, do the right thing. Join, get involved, because even Nicholas Moore thinks these members show the best. Right, without getting too carried away and seeing where we are, Craig, I'm jumping all over the place, but you just can't escape the big game on the 2nd. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I was on the pod the other night, so the immediate reaction was from the comments were quite negative. There was a few players being slated, and some of the takes were pretty wild to say the least. I'm strangely confident. I think Beale knows what this game is all about. He obviously did it for a little while with Gerrard. He's not going to go in with any preconception about we'll just stand off. Hopefully, we'll stand off and let them play their game. Hopefully, he will be back to very similar to what we used to be with Gerrard, where it was pressing really early, high tempo, a lot of intensity, not really letting them settle. So I think that's where Gio unfortunately came unstuck a little bit in most of the games, where he should have probably given them a little bit too much respect and told the players to sort of hold off and soak up a bit of the pressure. And by that time, it was sort of for two or three of the games, it was game over by that time.
I did want to jump back to the Motherwell game, but now you actually mention it, Craig. You talk about pressing, you talk about that intense style that we had before. Is it wishful thinking 4 games into his tenure to expect that transition and get that back?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, I again have seen similar sort of improvements in the 4 games. I think it's helped the last 2 games having the centre back partnership back has really been quite solid. No coincidence in the 2 games we've kept clean sheets in both of them. We've seen it. I think Tillman has been quite key at doing it for a lot of the games. That sort of high press, and I think as time goes on and players start coming back, and Beale can put his stamp on the team, we should hopefully see it more. Hopefully starting from Monday.
What key changes have you seen in the past 4 games?
Just offensively, going forward, I think we're creating a wee bit more. I think the players are wanting to take a wee risk, which I like players doing. Scott, I like the players take a risk. Yeah, it's not always going to come off, but when it does, it can create a goal, can get you a goal. It's also gets you off your seat at times, doesn't it? Especially, I think Tillman's enjoying the way he's playing. You can see Ryan Kent starting to enjoy his football again, coming more inside, not being stuck in the touchline. And a bit quicker exchange. We're doing a wee bit more triangles. Maybe play the ball, we're moving, we're not doing the pass to side. We're going forward with the ball more. And there's nothing better than watching a midfield player or attacking player pass forward, going forward. Even if the defenders are doing it. Yeah, we are sloppy at times. Probably the worst thing we can probably do is our ball retention is not great. We constantly get the ball away. We do it in very stupid areas of the park as well, when it can cost us against better sides. But we're scoring goals. And I think you've seen the last few games we've played Hibs, Aberdeen. Granted, the 2 of them on the great sides. I've seen Aberdeen against Kilmarnock and they were awful, but we were behind in both A games. And I'm not slagging Van Bronckhorst, but under Gio would be a dug at the hole and come back. I don't think we would have. But you've seen against Aberdeen, even at the very end, they were still desperate for another goal. They were all pushing forward. And I don't know if it's because Golson's back into the side, but we're pushing forward again. And they've got that kind of character now. They don't know when they're beaten. Even though we'll make mistakes, but it's like the players have got a mentality back, as in to say, we can still win this. And I think that was lost for a while.
How does that happen? How does the change of a coach actually implement that care, though? Because I know what everyone's saying, but part of me is just like, well, it's still the same players. Why is it any different? Why does it take a new manager coming in to then develop this new mentality?
I think the players are still going to make the same mistakes they've been making because it's the same players, like you've said. But I think it's just giving players more freedom, especially the players that need it. And other players that don't give a name instructions. Some players need instructions, Scotty. Some players you can tell go into a park and do what you want to do. Maybe like Kent and Tillman. But other players need instruction. They need to be told where to be, when to be, and what to do. If they don't, they get lost. So I think it's a bit of that. Some players need a cuddle, some players don't. But I just think trusting each other. I think the players trust each other again. But I think they trust their manager. And if you trust your manager, you run through a brick wall for him, you get the best out of your players. If you don't trust the guy in charge, you end up going through the emotions because you don't listen to what he's saying. What he's saying, you've heard time and time again. You eventually just turn off. And I think some of the players are doing that under Jill. They're going through the emotions. They were doing what they were doing to get by, but nothing more. But I think under Michael Beale so far, it looks like we believe in this guy. He can take us an extra step. I'm starting to enjoy myself. And everybody's the same. Doesn't matter what job you do. If you're happy at your work, you do more. If you're not happy at your work, you don't do as much. And I think the players are starting to enjoy themselves again. I think it's just putting a smile on his face. When as Fashion Zakala always puts a smile on his face. But I think the rest of them are starting to join in.
Graham, it's interesting. Well, there you go. You got your big Sakala grin on. Kerr makes a really good point about trust, and that's what we experienced under Gerrard, and I suppose the backroom staff there, and the trust does work two ways. And in that, in the past 4 games, I don't think we've seen such a intentional rotation of players as we've seen, because it seems like we've gone through the entire squad and everyone's getting a shot, particularly in the last 4 games. What have you made of that? I mean, particularly Larry. It felt like Larry came in out from the cold against Motherwell, and he's played
I was having to think about that the other day when I seen he was back in for the Motherwell game. I'm kind of hoping it's maybe like Michael Beale's giving players like maybe 2 weeks ahead. I need you for this game. Start preparing now. Because I've kind of I've obviously heard a lot of experienced managers like Ferguson and Ancelotti are quite good with preparing players, and I'd like that to come into Scottish football more than obviously Rangers. So I kind of was thinking that. I don't know again if it's 100% true, but I'd like to think it was like stuff like that. He's telling players, be ready for this game. You're going to be missing this game, so have a wee bit of rest and then start preparing after 2 days rest. And it kind of builds the squad better, I think, and the players know and get the information that they need. And I think that's what our problem is with under Gio. I think he was telling players so much instructions like, when this person's on the ball, you need to be here in this position. And it was kind of clogging their brains a wee bit. And I think, as Kerr was saying, you see Ryan Kent, he's in the middle. He's playing a lot with a smile on his face. He's trying tricks. He's trying to beat players. Tillman the same. And I think we're seeing that. Beale's giving them the freedom and the confidence to go out and start playing their own game.
It's interesting because I'm going to, you talk about preparation. I'm going to prepare you all for the next question because we're all going to come to you. Michael Beale's turned around and said, look, I think it's plainly obvious that we're going to go into the transfer market in January and we do need additions. But he's very clear in saying there's no point in, we don't need it. We've got enough squad players and he's pretty much utilised them. What key areas do you think he's specifically talking about when he's talking about bringing players into the first 11? Staying with you, Graham, but where do you think, not necessarily you, but Beale in particular, will be looking?
I think he'll be looking at a proper number 8 box to box that can do everything. And if it was the summer, I would be saying a goalkeeper, but he's already come out, I believe, and said that he won't be getting a goalkeeper in January, so that would be more the summer. So I think it could maybe even be 2 midfielders, especially with Davis's injury. And hopefully also that means we get better out of out of Rabbi Matondo, because we need more from him. But I think potentially 2 centre midfielders, I think.
Go on, Craig.
I agree mostly with Graham. I think definitely 1 midfielder. I think that would have been the case whether Davis was injured or not. I think a proper 6 or a number 8 who can actually control the game. I think there's too many players there who are very similar. Kamara, Lundstrom, Davis, Jack. We need somebody who's a bit more dynamic. I think he's tried to play Tillman there, and Tillman can probably do it, but we need someone who's going to come in and be there for the rest of the season. I personally think he will be possibly looking at a striker, whether that be on loan or sort of a cheap option. Because I think obviously with Cholak and Morelos, we won't talk about Kamar Roof because I don't think he'll play again this season, to be honest. I think he'll just be on the cusp of being coming back, and then he'll get another knock and he'll be out again. So I think Morelos and Cholak leaves us quite light. Yes, Sakala can play there. Yes, Tillman can play there at a push, but it's not really key having only two strikers, especially when Beale has said he wants to try, if he can, to play 2 up front at times.
Okay.
Box to box midfielder and a right sided striker.
Oh, that's very specific. What does a right-sided striker look like?
Somebody we've not got.
Give me an example. I don't play
somebody can play on the right side or can also move into the centre. I think we've been struggling down the right side the team for years. I know people keep getting back to Candace. That's how long it's been. People keep mentioning Candace. I just feel we've not got much balance that side. I know, like the other night, for example, Bonham was getting a lot of stick before he even played. We don't bring him back. We don't bring him back. And I can see the reasons for that. But when Bonham plays, the balance looks better in the side because he is left-footed and he gives you great balance, special attacking options. And you see him with the ball he put in for Morellis' goal. So I think somebody on the right side to give us better balance. Yes, Scotty can play there. Hadji's played there. We've tried Matondo, Sakala. I think we've Scott right. We've tried everybody there. Just somebody you can rely on, Scotty. Somebody you know, like, who'll play 1 week, he's going to be there next week. Not just constantly changing his shots because we don't know who can fit in that position. So, but we can't bring in squad players. It has to be a first team starter, which are very difficult unless you want to spend the money or you get them in loan.
Particularly in January, I think that's when the prices certainly hit a premium. Interesting because Craig, you mentioned number 6, and I watched Larry play against Motherwell, and he seemed to play a lot deeper. Obviously, he doesn't play that defensive role, but he certainly came back and he dropped almost to play that quarterback kind of role. Do you think Beale has probably seen something there and he's trying to identify first port of call? Let's see who we've got in the squad that can step up before bringing someone in. Or do you think it's a case of, right, this is how I'm going to play at the moment. I'm just going to see what I can muddle around.
Yeah, I think he was just trying to tinker with it because I think the previous couple of games he's played Tillman more in that role and played, obviously, Kamara played there a couple of games. I think he was just giving Larry some minutes and seeing if he can play that role. Obviously, what he sees in training won't be what he sees in a match. I think he's probably seeing Motherwell at home. It's probably the game where I can probably tinker with the lineup a bit. Tillman hadn't played sort of in the wide right role really under Beale, and then suddenly the other night he's playing there. So I think that was his last chance really. Before we go into January, you're talking about the prices in January. I think they will even more so with the World Cup. That will also impact a lot of the prices in the January window. Normally, obviously, it's the summer window it happens, but in this case, it will be the January one.
We talk about the World Cup, and one player in particular that we were linked with has just got back from the World Cup. Now, I don't know much about this because you'll have to excuse me. I don't watch St. Mirren. However, we have been linked, Graham, with Bacchus.
Yep.
I know Kurt's desperate to jump in here, but I'll start with Graham, and then we'll move over to the Chief Scout. Graham, what do you make of that one? Boy Scout.
If I'm being totally honest, Scotty, I've never really seen much of him either.
Right, next, Kurt.
Kurt knows his stuff, so I'll take his judgment.
Come on, Kurt.
He's actually quite a decent player, lad, but he's still young. So for me, he's not going to slot into our first team. He's very similar to Ethan Erahan at St. Mirren, and the two of them play similar positions. They sit in the middle of the park. They can, I'm not saying as a destroyer, but they'll sit in there and break play up. But they can get forward. They can link the play. Bacchus is probably more a goal threat than Erahan is, and he's probably a bit more quicker. But he likes to break the play up. He likes to get forward. He is quite quick, to be honest with you. He's still young, so he's learning the game. To me, if you can get him for next to nothing or for a reasonable fee, you would probably take it. But Bill did say he didn't want a project. He didn't want a thing player. So to me, I don't know if he come into our first team because Ethan Erahan's been keeping it at St. Mirren team at times, and he's supposed to St. Mirren have just agreed a fee for Ethan with a couple of teams down in England, and it's not any more than 350,000, I'm led to believe. So if he's going for that, then I wouldn't want to pay more for Bacchus. But I suppose they could turn around and say he's played at a World Cup, can't they?
Well, that's very true. But is it up to Mick Beale to decide who we bring in and who we don't? Is it actually? Because surely that's Ross Wilson's job. And if Ross Wilson, say, for example, looks at or has had recommended to him Bacchus that he joins Rangers because perhaps in a couple of years he will be, that doesn't mean that we should discount it. Surely, Graham. I mean, we should be like signing these players, even if it's a case of loaning them back out for example. It's a business model.
Yeah, I totally agree. I've said for years now, since probably Ross Wilson came in, that I was hoping we would go to a change where we identify young players that are ready or almost ready for first team, and then instead of buying like the experienced players when we've got our own experienced players, if that makes sense. So if the lad is kind of, as Kerr says, is a good player, he's young, learning the game, but he could probably come in here and then. If it's for 350k, I think they're the signs you've got to make. But I have liked the boy that Kerr was saying is agreed fees way down south. So if he's similar to him, then I think it would be a good addition. But obviously, as Michael Beale said in the press conference today, it's starters that he's wanting. And I think that's what we really need just now until we kind of get a whole idea of the squad and what Michael Beale thinks can go and what he needs. So I'd rather the money went this January on, as we were saying, starters.
But the issue that I have, Craig, is, and we've probably had this conversation loads, we expected Rabbi Matondo to come in and be a starter purely for the fact that we spent £3 million on him. Kerr said he wants a right-sided centre forward thing. Surely Matondo was supposed to be that person. Therefore, can we actually reasonably say any player that we're going to sign is actually going to be a starter unless we're going to spend, what, £6-7 million on them?
No, because I think you can get some players. I mean, not that we should compare ourselves with the other team. I'll get into trouble like Beale there. But they are buying players that aren't costing anywhere near that, sort of a couple of million here and there, and sort of using their scouting network much better than we have been. I get the impression from Beale, compared to the previous manager, that the previous manager was probably more content to go, right, you've said this player will be good, right, I'll take him. I don't think Beale's going to do that. I think Beale is aware enough to think, I've got to work with this player, and if he's not good enough to come into the team like I want them to, then I don't want to sign them. And I think he will have a bit more pull from his time working with Ross Wilson before to do that. Because ultimately he's yes, it's a business model. Yes, we've got to sign players and sell players, but the main business is also what happens on the pitch. So if we're not getting the players that are improving the team, we're not going to be getting the results we want, and therefore the business model is sort of backward, because those players then aren't going to be sold for big money because they're not performing as well as they should do.
Very true. The game on the next game's 2nd of January, Kerr, and so far we haven't actually signed anyone. We don't look like signing anyone. And as Craig says, them across the city seem to have their recruitment quite firmed up.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying it could happen, but surely we should have been in a position, knowing that we're in, that players should be walking in the door January the 1st. I'm not saying they'd walk straight into the first team, but it would be good to have some kind of boost or knowledge going into that game that things are changing for Rangers. Just feels like they're not.
You like to think so, Scotty, but under the chap in charge of football operations, it doesn't work that way. It'll never work that way until other people get involved or the manager has a say. Now, this is just my opinion. It could be totally wrong, but you look across at Celtic, and they've always been really good with what they do. They'll bring players in for not a lot of money. We'll say them on 3, 4 year, 5 year contracts, but after 1 or 2 seasons and then playing well, they start to talk to other clubs to see how much they can get for them. And you just look at a positive side in the past, and then they've already got saying targets are bringing players in to replace these players. Now, that's a model they've done themselves, and it's been working the last few seasons, probably longer than that. They've done it really well. We don't do things like that. We're always at the end of the list, the end of the line. We seem to sell a player and then don't really try to bring players in. We don't sell players when they're at their peak, because you want to keep them longer. You can't get attached to players, not in Scotland anymore, not a club like Rangers. You mentioned the earlier business model. If you wanted to do that, we have to bring players in, have to play well for a season or two. That's when you punt. Probably what we've done with Boomsong all the years back. 6 months and he was away, made a bit of money. Now, we've missed the boat with Morelos and Kent because of this, which I probably should have done it with Kamara. And at the time, you think these players would probably rather better staying at Rangers. But when you look, money could have made, and you just bring other players in, because at the end of the day, it's a football club, but it's a business, and it's about making money, and that's what they do. And unfortunately, we're a bit behind it at the moment. And I don't. Is it Ross Wilson's fault? It's not his fault per se, but he's not helped matters, put it that way.
That's one way of putting it. Right, I'm going to leave the transfer, non-transfer chat there because all I can really think about is the game on Monday.
Asmir Berkovic.
Oh, do you want to go there? You want to actually turn back? Right, okay, we can list the players that we are linked with. Right, Asmir Begovic, what?
No.
The goalkeeper Trafford from Man City. Is he any good?
James Trafford's he's actually okay, but he's only 20. So
look,
you're not going to come in at 20 and play first team football.
As Ross says, the Leeds goalkeeper's been number one for 2-3 years now, and I think he's just 21 now. So it is possible.
I agree with him. He's been playing at Bolton all season. I think he's had 10 clean sheets this season with Bolton, which is okay. But he's in Man City's school academy. I don't know much of it costs us because according to Charlie Adam last night, James McAtee is going to cost at least £20 million, and he's probably right. But Berkovic, no, he's 35. We don't need another 35-year-old keeper.
And I also noticed that, has anyone got any information on that 20-year-old midfielder from Saarbrücken?
I tried to find YouTube clips, but I could only see interviews of him. But if that's the kind of profile of midfielder that we're looking for, so that's the only thing I know about him.
One thing I would say, if we're linked with a player that's also linked with Brighton, that can't be a bad thing. Their recruitment seems to be spot on as well.
Yeah,
totally agree.
So it's actually interesting. I'm going to waffle on for a little bit of a minute. I was with my pal yesterday, who's actually a Brighton season ticket holder, and his comments were to me, even still, and I don't know how you lot will take this. He turned around and said, if we're signing a player and Rangers are involved, it's usually a no-brainer he's going to go to Rangers. I was a little bit taken aback by that because obviously Brighton Premier League, I think they're actually ranked like in the top 20 of Europe's football clubs at the moment, which is an achievement in itself. And obviously they've got a robust playing style and a very good football club structure. What do you make of that, Craig? I mean, you're from the Midlands as well, and you live down in England. Is that still your mentality, or is it just me that's going the other way in terms of being unbiased?
I think Brighton's the weird one because they're the sort of club at the moment. Yes, Newcastle to a point, but they've always been a club that have attracted players, and players have gone there for the size of the club. 2 or 3 years ago, you'd say Rangers or Brighton, no chance it's going to be Rangers. Brighton are the one that seem to be sneaking into that top 6 or 7 in the Premier League. Good manager there, good football department. The chap who was there was previously at West Brom, Dan Ashworth, and was involved with England. When he left West Brom, it was not a big coincidence that West Brom's recruitment went downhill when he went to Brighton. He's now gone to Newcastle, so it'd be interesting to see how Newcastle do in the next 2 or 3 years with their recruitment. Yes, they're spending big money, but they seem to be spending it in the right way. No, so I don't really I think Rangers still have the pull from being the size of the club, but it'd be tight between us and Brighton, and I wouldn't have said that 2 or 3 years ago.
I'm just like pulling up these comments. I think it's absolutely right. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, like Craig lived down south for an awful long period of time, and a few years ago I would have said the same. And I think part of me just can't help but escape the last few months, the amount of damage, because we talked about business player model, and for me, the value of the squad couldn't have possibly get much higher than in the summer after getting to the Europa League final. Okay, I'm not really sure where I'm going with this point, but someone said to keep chatting, so I'm just going to keep waffling on for a bit. So we talk about that. We look at the players of recruitment. Where are we actually shopping at the moment? So if we look at a 20-year-old from Salzburg, is he actually going to be coming into the first team, or actually do we need to spend a few million quid on someone coming into the first team?
Every gamble's a transfer, Scott. It doesn't matter what they cost, but I think we're going to have to shop probably longer, more places, no longer places, more places, probably like Japan, China, Korea. Because if you buy in the English market, you're paying over the odds straight away for a player, no matter who you're buying, because it's in England. So if you go to Scandinavia, we can go there. I've only been to Belgium a few times. But we got Matondo fair, didn't we? We've been to Finland for Morelos, and we get Sakala, I think it was for Brighton. So I think we're just going to have to widen our search because there's players there, and it's not always for big money. But we have to be clever. And the problem with Rangers is we've not been clever. We've been bringing players in, but we've not been clever. And I don't know how many scouts have got in the department. I heard it was got overhauled, so I don't know how many they brought in. I heard most of them get released and they brought other ones in, so I don't know how many they brought in. But I know like Celtic, they've got scouts everywhere. They've got them everywhere. So I don't know. Maybe we've not got enough. Maybe we've got too many. I don't know. But I think we're going to have to be clever because Graham's always said there's players in other countries. If you go looking for them, and I agree with him, there is. You don't always just have to look at the big leagues. There's players out there, but you have to go searching. And I think we've got. You don't have to buy big players either. Somebody mentioned in the comments Italy's second division. I mean, there's good players in all leagues, but it's getting the right ones. And I think if Michael Beale, in my opinion, gets more an input in the transfers, I think we'll do better. We can't leave it to Ross Wilson in the football department. I think that'll jip our big balls up.
All right. Well, you're absolutely right. There are football players, very good football. I think Italy's second division, the French second division, they're absolutely plentiful, and you actually see them. I mean, you see the emergence of the Algerian centre midfielder, particularly at the World Cup. So that's why I'm not actually too overly concerned about the guy from St Mirren, Australian guy, Bacchus, because you've all got to start somewhere and you've all got to come through somewhere. And sometimes you actually just need a platform to showcase your talent. I can't even remember what I was going to ask you there, Graham, but it was something along those lines.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, when, for example, your Riyad Mahrez, he's N'Golo Kanté, they were playing in League Two and went for not big transfer fees. So if Rangers, like Kerr says, if you're clever, use like the data side of the scouting as well, we can pick these players similar to that before these teams get to them or try and beat them. And then that's how it works. And then as much as we don't like to praise that other mob, after a year or two, hopefully good performances, the highest transfer value that they'll have, we sell them on. And then say we sell a player for 10 million, we spend 4 million on another player and keep the 6. And then that's how you just keep recycling it. And that's the player trading model that Ross Wilson keeps talking about. He's talking about as if it's up and running just because we've sold 2 players and not replaced them. But it needs to be continuous every year, ongoing, 24/7. Scouts and data analysts and everything. That's how a modern football club works. And I don't think we do it to the best of our ability.
I mean, Graham, in terms of signing players, we could all get carried away from what we see on social media. And I'm talking about Twitter in particular because that just seems like a continuous live news feed. And if you look over the past couple of years, particularly with the players that we've apparently been linked with, and look at where they are now, if that's true, and those are the players that we've been scouting and we've been after, surely that's almost a case of being unlucky because you look at the likes of Lovre May, look at Joe Vim and just Skov Olsen, just to name 3 players. And if we're to believe the rumours, then we're serious about bringing these players in. And if we have those 3 players in our team, then that makes a huge difference. So is our scouting that bad? Is it just a case of it's a bit of a hangover from what happened between 2012 and those years thereafter? Or am I just trying to polish a turd?
I think I was probably the most excited when I heard their names, your Skov Olsen, Veermans and stuff like that. But it's the drop-off, I wonder. But to me, their names I knew their names, so that's why I was excited. But where do we try to, obviously there's going to be a lot of clubs look at their players as well. So you do become unlucky because we play in Scotland. There's probably better leagues and whatever, and they might go to them. but we should be trying to identify like the next one of them, like know a place in the market. Because a director of football, as Kerr probably knows as well, he's meant to know the market, know the agents, know everything, the transfer values and everything. We should be identifying the players that teams are sleeping on, and then we sneak in and get them. And I think that's where we don't. Like, it's easy to say, "Oh, Andres Skov Olsen," but then we go to Rabbi Matondo. Why is the drop off so big? And that's what I'm kind of meaning.
See, having seen Matondo, and even in the pre-season friendlies, I've got to admit I was a little bit excited. And the drop off in his performances has been alarmingly. It's just been bad. But if we actually look at the business model and what we finished with last season, particularly in that area of the park, so you had Ahmed Diallo, who was on loan from Manchester United, and let's face it, there's not a cat in hell's chance that we were going to sign him permanently. And then if you look at what we did, okay, we brought in Rabbi Matondo, who perhaps may have had the similar profile minus the 35 million quid transfer fee from Atalanta, who's then tried his luck abroad and failed, and then bringing him back for 3 million quid. But having a player on our own, like Craig, and direct this at you, surely that is actually a correct business model. It's just something that hasn't worked. So we shouldn't be put off by that, should we?
No, I think the business model plan is right. That, like Graham was saying, you should be buying players, getting them in, the players that aren't really spotted, get them in, they improve the team, they perform well, they then get sold on like a Bassi. Patterson to a slightly different extent, because he came through the academy and we sold him at the point where we weren't going to get more money, in my opinion, than what we got at the time for Patterson. But I think it needs to go back to more. The footballing department for me has been more focused on the profile of business model, whereas it's been let slip on the business model plus performing on the pitch. So getting the players in who are actually going to perform, going to improve the team, going to get results, and therefore will be in a position where they can be sold on. I think there's been too much focus on the player profile rather than the actual player ability, in my opinion.
That's quite interesting. I mean, I've not seen Rabbi Matondo. I feel like I'm picking on him, but he's
I was excited as well in the summer when I saw him at Blackpool and I saw him against West Ham and I thought, oh bloody hell, we got a right player here. Somebody I know supports Stoke and they saw him at Stoke and said he's rapid, he's a good player, and for whatever reason he's dropped off a cliff. I
said for day one, I seen him in Man City's youth team and then a couple of appearances for Wales, and there's just nothing. What he showed then at that age is probably less than what he's shown for us. No, it's probably more than what it is for us than now.
That's quite interesting. So listen, what I take from that, Graham, you might find this interesting. I take from that there's definitely a player in there somewhere. He's just lacking in confidence. And if he can get that back, and if he's actually regressed, and he can actually get that back and then improve on that, because he's still young. How old is he, like 22?
He's young, but it was all just about running. And in Scotland, you're not going to get that in behind teams because they always sit back. So I just don't get why the sign didn't make sense. He's not a ball player. He needs counter attacks. He needs balls in behind, all that kind of stuff. He's not like a dribbler as such, or composure or technique. That's what I've seen for a young age.
See, that's where I absolutely disagree. I think under Gio, we're never going to get in behind anyone because we play the ball too slow. If we actually speed up the play and actually move up the park a bit quicker, I think there's definitely spaces to get in behind, particularly at Ibrox. Coming on to Ibrox, Care, I really want to talk about it. How are you feeling about it? Monday.
Okay. It's just another game. I'm not getting excited.
It's not just another game.
It's just another game. Well, listen, Scotty, you see this? What's happening?
Okay, it's all good. If you stop talking. Well, you've muted yourself now. Oh, right, okay, well.
The shouting and calling and singing. Just I'm at an age where I'm looking for the game. I hope we win, but I'm not getting too excited because if I do get too excited, I end up letting myself down. So I just always like the negative more than the positive.
Right, Graham. Kez microphone's just like got in the bin. What are you expecting?
It's been a tough one. I've been thinking about it all day today. Like trying to pick what kind of lineup I'd like to see and what I expect, and I've been finding it quite hard. I've got the proper nerves. I'm very nervous for the game. Usually I've got the nerves, but it's a lot worse than normal, especially under the Gerrard years. Anyway, I was confident in the games. Now I'm not very confident, but I'm glad with Beale's presser of the day that if he's going to go and win the game, rather than that Gio sitting back, maybe wait half an hour, I think we'll go for it, which that's given me a wee bit of positivity, but I'm nervous at the same time.
So, just stay with you, Graham. We've seen a lot of rotation in players over the last 4 weeks. What team are you actually expecting?
This is, well, obviously, Mark Tillman's been doing well, but I worry about press is if the first 5-10 if he can't get back and help the defence in midfield. So you're having question marks against him, although he's been very good going forward in the other games. But I think there's a lot of questions, and it'll be interesting to see what Bale goes with. But I think he'll probably go with Jack Lundstrom Kamara in the middle, maybe Tillman outright, with Cholak hopefully up top and Kent left. I think we'll kind of go back to the Gerrard kind of style formation.
Craig?
So I was just trying to message.
Guys, in the comments, get your team in the comments. I want to see what everyone's thinking because I think that's actually a really, really interesting midfield three from Graham, and it's not something I'm particularly excited about, particularly into an old phone game. When you talk about having Jack Lundstrom and you say Kamara in the middle, that just sounds awfully static. And I just think those three will get overrun, even though there's three of them.
I think the sound issue on your side, Scott, because everyone else.
So what?
I think the sound issues from your end.
Right.
Kerr and Graham are both on mute. There we go. Yeah, I agree. I think the three that, as soon as Graham said Jack, Lundstrom, Kamara, I just went, oh, because I think that three's too similar. They will get overrun. I think you definitely need somebody in that's a bit more dynamic, maybe a Tillman, maybe. I don't know who else can come into the middle that's going to be a bit more dynamic than those three. I think though those three have played in the middle before against Celtic and have been overrun quite easily. So I think Beale needs to be a little bit different with it, and I think he will hopefully be. I don't think it's a perfect game for a 28-year-old Scott Arfield, but sadly Scott Arfield's not 28 years old. If Arfield was 28, he'd be the perfect one to play alongside maybe Jack and Kamara or Jack and Lundstrom and be a bit more dynamic. He hasn't got the legs for me. I'd like to see him go with any two of Jack, Kamara and Lundstrom, and maybe Tillman as well, just to have that bit of energy in the middle. I don't think it's the game for somebody like Larry, unfortunately, because I think if it goes wrong, as we saw the other night, Larry got a lot of pelters for playing in a 3-0 win over Motherwell. So it's going to go. If it goes wrong, then he's going to be the one that's going to get the stick. The team that's come out from Paul there seems to be quite a decent one but it is Cholak and Alfie both playing up front. So who knows? I'm not the manager. I'm quietly confident about Monday, but I'm always quietly confident about Rangers.
What about you, Kerr?
I think we have to be compact. We have to be disciplined. And we have to pick our moments to go forward. I think if we go gung ho against Celtic, they'll pick us off. They do that to our sides in the league, and they do it quite well. So I think Beale will know what we have to do. But I think it's up to us. We can't give the ball away like we have been doing in games because that can cost us. But I know Greg just mentioned that he wouldn't play Lowry. This is a game I would play Lowry. The team that started against Motherwell, I would start with that side. Just for the fact it would be a surprise to Celtic because they'll think we're going to be sitting, and we probably will sit because players, you don't have to be a holding midfield player to hold your position, hold your formation to sit. People think if you've got two holding midfielders, you play defensive. To me, you don't really need to play any holding midfielders as long as everybody's got a job to do. You can sit and play defensively. So I think if he's got a system going, and I think players like Lowry, Tillman can pick Celtic off because they're not the best at the back, especially when you play through their centre backs with balls through the middle. Their centre backs, and I don't know about you guys, but I actually thought Morelos actually looked a bit better than Motherwell. I know he got a lot of pelters as usual, but I thought it was just something different about him. And I don't know if it's because he's did a few games in a row now. I don't think Alfie's a guy that can come on for 20 minutes and make an impact and then go off. I think he needs a run of games. I think he's starting to look slightly more sharper. So I think if he's up to it on Monday, and if you've got Kent, Lowry, and Tillman, he can pick the passes. I think that could hurt Celtic if Jack Lundstrom are disciplined and the back four disciplined. I think that could hurt them. But it's up to Rangers. We have to be compact. We have to sit and we have to know when to go forward. We can't give the ball away because that's what's going to cost us. And it's cost us in games before, but it will cost us on Monday.
So, Graham, are we actually going to go into this game? You know, we're Rangers supporters. We always want to turn around and say, look, it's about what we do. We don't worry about anyone else. But let's face it, our form for the whole of the season has been patchy at best. Are we actually expecting something a little bit more tactical, a little bit more prepared than we've experienced under Gio, to actually get something from Mick Beale, for example, that understands their strengths and we can actually see something to nullify their strengths and then worry about what we can do beyond that point? Or is it a case of it still is? It's about what we do. It's Ibrox. We should be focusing on that.
I always think it should always be about us, but you should know obviously their strengths and weaknesses. But can I just say it was a worry that I thought Beale would maybe go with the three. It wasn't what I would do personally. I would love it if I'd seen Beale maybe try something like. I think we've lost the games at Parkhead, especially in the middle of the park. We've not had time. So I think if we maybe, I don't think he's going to do it. It's just a wee thought that I've had. If we went kind of like a diamond, so we could play the two up front and maybe give them a wee scare and a fright, because they're, like you say, they're probably expecting us to be same old. So a wee change like that, that would give me a wee bit more positivity. If I seen the lineup, I thought it was going to be something like that. And that way you could get like your Tillman and then Choak, and I'd maybe even go with Kent, kind of up top with him or something like that. Just something to give us a wee bit of positive and excitement and see that we're going to go for the game. Because I was getting fed up with under Gio, or we'll let them tire. They tire after an hour, and then we'll play our game. I'd love to see us go back to where it was in Gerrard. We know we're better than them, that kind of attitude, and go for it. Because I think if we play our game, we've seen in glimpses the kind of moves we can do down the left with Barisic getting forward, Tav, although he's not been playing very well lately, if he steps up. But we've got numerous ways we can attack them, and I'd like to see that.
Are we expecting any surprises, Craig? Maybe a five at the back?
No, I mean, I have seen the games that we've been playing where Lundstrom has been dropping back, but I think that's been more to get the ball and get the ball moved forward quite quickly. Whereas I think under Gio, it was to sort of keep the ball there and recycle possession. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think he will go this way. I wouldn't be surprised to see either Lundstrom do that or maybe bring in somebody like a Sands to do that, to sort of, if we need to go to a back three. I think we haven't really seen the best of a James Sands yet because he's been constantly played out of position. I think he's pretty good in either a defensive midfield role the few times we've seen him, or as part of a back three where he's played in America. He's not good enough for a back two, back four, should I say, but he's good enough for a back three. That's the only one that maybe I could see where we do have that bit of flexibility. But again, that's what Gio did as well, and look where that got us.
Right, Kat, I'm finding this really interesting because we've all got our different ideas of what the team can look like and also what we want the team to actually look like. And I remember under Gio specifically, when going into these big games, you knew the 11, 1 to 11, who it's going to be. And that always concerned me because I thought that was like really predictable. We know who's going to turn up, who's going to play. And if we know that, they know that. Oh, the opposition knows that. When we are quite unpredictable, I think that's when we're going to be at our best. I'm doing my best to get you excited here, Kerr. What do you think the team's going to be?
I think you'll know his team. I think you'll already spoke with the guys that's playing. I think Lundstrom will play. I think Jack will play. I think the back four kind of picks itself. And everybody's slagging Tav off, saying he shouldn't be playing. He's not good enough, or he's injured, or blah blah blah. James Tavernier plays. He'll play every day of the week for the Celtic game coming up. The goalkeeper to me is an interesting one. He'll probably stick with McGregor because he knows him best. The goalkeeper is an issue for me, and I think Celtic will probably target that. I think in front of Jack and Lundstrom, you have to go with the attacking players. You can't. If we sit and let Celtic come at us, we'll get beat. And I know I said earlier we have to be compact. You do, but see, Celtic's lost one game this season against St Mirren. If you watch St Mirren that day, St Mirren played them really well. They sat in enough to suck them in, and then they hit them with longer balls because the two defenders at the back struggle with that. And we could do that if Alfie's on his game. I'm not saying playing the exact same way, but you have to be clever against Celtic. If you go and attack them, they pick you off because Celtic's got legs middle to front and they're quick. So we have to be careful because we know what we're like at the back. So I think you'll pick a team he thinks going to beat Celtic, obviously, but I think he'll go with the guys he trusts the most that he's seen this season in training, which to me is going to be Lundstrom and Jack, Tillman, Kent. Middle one, I've got a feeling is going to go with Arfield, but I'll be goes with Lowry. And Morelos every day a week. If you ask Michael, even if Cholak's fit, I know he was struggling to pronounce him the day I was listening, but I think he goes with Alfie. I think that's what he goes with. He goes with Alfie as well. But I just got a feeling Scotty will play for some reason.
That's an interesting one. I think I would. I don't want to slag him off, but he just looks fat. And see, the difference is when I look at Alfie up front this season compared to even last season, there's times where he miscontrols the ball or he loses the ball, and last season he'd turn, run and chase it back. This season, or at the moment, he can't even turn. And I think, yes, he's a name up top versus them, and regardless of what shape he's in, they will fear him because they do not want him to score. So he's automatically in their heads as a threat. Cholak obviously gives us goal, but he's not played. So automatically it will go Morelos. Interesting when you talk about Lowry and Arfield. That's straight out the Walter Smith book of it could be absolutely anything. I personally would go with Lowry because
Me too.
You know, one of the things going into this game is we're 9 points behind, and what have we got to lose? Is the league already done?
I think it's a must-win game if we want to have serious title consideration. So I must admit, I never really thought about playing Lowry, but the way Kearney spoke about it, I think it's something I'd like to see actually. Because you can see, we all know the boy's got talent. He doesn't fear. He's got no fear, and he could try that thing. It could be one of the days where the superstar's born type thing. So just for that kind of storyline and to see a young boy play well in a game and hopefully contribute to a win, I'm quite actually. I'd like to see that now. Actually, when I think about it,
I just feel, Graham, Michael Beale said he trusts him. He knows what he can do, and you know yourself, Graham. Young guys don't have a lot of fear as older professionals have because they're still trying to learn the game. They're still making their way in the game. And they'll try things that maybe other players only try. So why do you not stick him in? You could do somebody else, wouldn't you? Like maybe pass the side of back. I could go forward with it, play a ball through to somebody and we get a goal. So I would stick him in. It's like we learn to swim just from in the deep end.
But you say as well, if we're playing that kind of Jack and Lundstrom or Jack and Kamara or whatever kind of as a two, the three in front of that, Kent, Lowry and Tillman, if it's the three, they can all interchange, which means they're hard to pick up. So the more I talk about it, I feel I'd like to see that now.
Just like to say, Scott, everybody's giving me a bit of abuse because I said play Tav. In my opinion, he'll get another option. You can't play Tav. We know he's been great this season, right? And I heard somebody in Radio Cloud the other night slagging him off, saying he's the worst defender in Scotland. That was a Rangers fan, by the way. And I was kind of laughing, saying, does this guy actually watch Rangers? Tav's one of these players, he's not played all this season, he'll probably admit it himself, but I'll tell you now, see when he's not at Rangers, you realise what you miss because he offers us so much.
I genuinely think we have got a lot of victims of Gio's tenure, and I think he's the biggest one, particularly this season. That drop off between the end of last season and this season is huge, and we can't underestimate the impact that summer had. I have absolutely no idea what that summer had. But all the players, they're unfit, they're all getting injuries, they're all playing with injuries, they're all making it worse, and it just feels like there's nothing that we can do about it. I've got full confidence that guys like Tav, Lundstrom can actually turn it around and get their form back. And I think we'll definitely see that going into the second half of the season. It's not Tav's fault that there's zero competition, and I'm not having any of that Adam Devine stuff, because while he's a good prospect, he is just a good prospect at the moment. He's not at Alex Lowry levels of expecting him to come into an Old Firm game and play. Kerr, I've got your back. 100% agree with you. Is Monday make or break, Graham?
I think if we seriously want to put pressure on them and get the fans that kind of fire in their belly that we can do it, it's a must-win game for me. But saying that, I don't want it to lose, but it's one of the ones. We're in the situation. I'd rather go and try and win the game and get back in rather than settle for a draw. So it's a must-win game for me.
Craig?
I'm going to get my pelters ready now. For me, weirdly, I think for Beale, it's a bit of a no-lose game.
I agree with that, actually.
The expectation is that the league's over. All the talk is they're way better than us. We've had loads of injuries. So I think, apart from the bragging rights and the 3 points, and the league would basically be over, I think for Beale, there's no expectation on him, which might actually work in our favour. So I think he'll he won't send the players out with that mentality. He won't send the players out to sort of set up to lose the game. I think it'll be completely the opposite. But I think weirdly he's in a no-lose situation, in my opinion.
Come on, Kerr, for the hat-trick.
I think the league's over. That's my opinion, right? But Monday, if we win, it makes it more interesting. And the only reason is because I feel we're more likely to drop points against crap teams in Celtic here, because that's what Rangers have done with some of these players we've got, because I know they make the same mistakes. But I'm looking forward to the game, as in the last few games I weren't, but under Beale Amar, because I feel we'll go out and actually play as in to win. We'll go out, we play as in with Celtic, like we done at Celtic Park. For the start of that game, we weren't even in it. Do you know what I mean? The last time we were in that game was in the tunnel. So I feel we'll go out on Monday and we'll be up for it. The pause will be up for it. He'll make sure they're up for it. Will we win? I hope we do. But I've got a feeling it'll be a draw. But I hope we get the result.
Okay, you've given me so much to unpack from what you just said. We're gonna carry on talking for the next half hour now. Right. Do we go for the throw? First 5 minutes. Go for it. Because I've not seen that from a Rangers side since we beat them 2-0 at the end of Gerrard's second season. Was it? Third season? First season. And when Tav scored the free kick, absolutely 2 minutes, went for it. Do we do that again? And then if we get caught and concede a goal, right, okay, that's done. We just start again. We'll play the 90 minutes. Do we go from the start, Graham?
We go from the start, but not gung-ho the way you're kind of hinting at there. I think it's got to be try and control the game and look threatening, but
that's boring.
Not at Tav Barisic bombing on at the same time and Ken up there, like everyone. Just control the game and show authority and look as if we are the better team. That's what I'm looking for. And I think if we do that, then we can win the game. So, but I wouldn't say gung-ho, because if you go gung-ho and they catch us in the counter-attack in the first 5 minutes, it's a total different game. I never agree with that, gung-ho, unless you're in a position that you're getting beat and you need to win the game. Yeah, I agree with it. But from the start of the game, I never really agree with gung ho.
Craig, are you the same thought? Are you a case of actually no, let's actually try and put them under pressure, pin them back, catch them by surprise?
Well, we tried that when we played him in April, and Ramsey scored after like 2 or 3 minutes, and it didn't work out. That was the whole plan of go at him, hit him in the first 5-10 minutes, and put him under pressure. I think we need to be a bit more in the face and not give them as much respect as probably Gio gave them, and the players gave them at that time. I think Graham was right that the whole plan tended to be with Gio that they'll tire after sort of 50, 60 minutes, but by that time it was 2 or 3-0, and the game was done, and they could tire out because basically we weren't going to turn the game around. I think Beale will set them up. If it was me, I would set them up to be a bit more aggressive and in the face first 5-10 minutes, and sort of say, right, you're playing Rangers, you're not playing St Mirren, you're not playing Dundee United, you're playing Rangers at Ibrox. This is what, like, because most of these players that are playing for them would never played for them when we had Gerrard. The whole Gerrard mentality when he was manager was, I don't care who they've got in their team, we're better. And I think they need to revisit that and get that fire back. And that's why I think some of the players that will play are the players that have got that experience from playing under Gerrard against Celtic and having their number for a couple of years.
I'd like to see as well, just to nip in there, see like 50-50s. I'd like to see us winning some of them, because in the past it always seems as if they're getting every second ball, drop down, and 50-50s they were winning. So that's something I'll be looking for in the first 10 minutes as well. Make sure we're in their face as well.
If we had an Ian or a Barry Ferguson in the middle of the pitch just absolutely snapping, that's something that I think we miss in this team. And I think if anyone's going to step up and do it, it's Lundstrom. I'm glad you're back, because you turned around and you said, even if we win, the league's over.
I didn't.
Did you not? You said the league's done.
I said if they win, the league's over. But I said if we win, it makes it interesting.
Oh, does it? Because you at the start.
I think the league's over because
currently the league's over now.
Well, if I did, I think it's over just for the fact I think we'll drop more silly points than they will.
Based on what? Because based on we have
based on half the season it's away. I know it's a different manager, but it's still the same players making the same mistakes. That's just my opinion, Scott. It doesn't mean it's right.
All right, you can't caveat everything you say. What I'm saying is, okay, the same players are making mistakes. Are they making the same mistakes? No. Because I see the players now making mistakes in a different way. They're making mistakes because they're adapting to a new style. We also saw, again, I don't want to hark back to them, but when the Fat Greek came in at Celtic, they all made the similar mistakes that Beale's Rangers are making now. They don't necessarily make all those mistakes now. Can we not get excited and think, right, okay, well, once the continuity comes back, these mistakes stop? So what you say around we'll drop points against the lesser teams, that likelihood reduces.
It does.
And therefore,
it's just the way I feel. I hope I'm 110% wrong, 100% wrong, and you can come back and everybody else can come back and say you were wrong, and I'll happily admit it. But it's just the way I feel.
All of a sudden,
9 points is a lot to claw back considering the points we've dropped so far this season.
Yes, it is, but it's not insurmountable and it's not impossible. So
it's not impossible, no.
Instead of this season feeling like it's over, all of a sudden this season now stretches out a bit. We've got a bit of interest, providing that we win on Monday.
Yeah,
draw's no good. We take into account we've got January, and again, ifs, buts, maybes. We make some decent signs, positive signings. Can we get excited?
We can always get excited, but it's just my opinion. If you listen, I'll gladly sit here in May and you can all slag me to death and say I was wrong, and I'll happily accept that. But it's just my opinion. I just feel what's been is too much to claw back. But that's just the way I feel.
Greg?
If we win, I feel as if I'll start to get excited. But the one bit that'll hold me back is the goalkeeping situation, because I feel as if any shot in goal, we're likely conceding. That you can't keep that up. But if we win and go 6 points, you don't know what that does to them mentally. Do they start to not score as many goals? And so we've got to win. Once we win, then we can start judging it and get how excited we get.
You stole my thunder there, but I think we, in the crudest way, we need to give them a bloody nose and see how they react to it. I don't think anyone's done that. I mean, St Mirren did it, and look how they've reacted. They've won 12 on the bounce. I think it'll be different if we give them a smack in the face. Not literally, hopefully. I don't want to put any ideas into Alfie's mind. Give a few players a smack in the face, but give them that and see how they react to it. It could go and they could be revitalised and go on another run, or it could put a bit of wobble into them, but we won't know until we see it.
As a Michael Beale can go on the run between now and the end of the season, we don't lose a game, and I'll be sit here and I'll be as happy as Larry, and I'll be saying I was 100% wrong, but I'll win the league championship. I'll be totally happy, but I don't think that's a possibility. But that's just my opinion.
Obviously, as well, the January transfer window's got a big say in it, because if they sell like your Jota, Juranovic, and some of the players, and they replace them with the wrong players, that could help us as long as we win on Monday. That could be a big factor as well.
But if you text me tomorrow, Scotty, and say Rangers are saying a new goalkeeper, I'll change my mind.
I might actually just do that anyway, even if you haven't.
As long as it's not Scotty in goal.
He's probably better. He can move for cross balls.
Hey, McGregor came out for 2 the other night. I almost had a heart attack when he came out for the first one.
I know he did.
Right, score predictions, guys. Everyone in the comments, get your score predictions in. Okay, I'm going to start with you because you are the beacon of positivity.
I'm a glass half empty kind of guy. I'll be positive. I'll go 3-2. I think there'll be a lot of goals in it. I think it'll be a lot of goals. I go 3-2 Rangers.
Craig?
Well, I predicted on my little prediction competition the other day, I think 2-0 Rangers.
Kerr stole my thunder. I can't see this game being anything other than a high-scoring end-to-end game. And I'll go 3-2 as well. And first goal scorer, Ryan Kent.
Oh, you'll always see him as well.
Right, I'm going 4-2 Rangers. Look at some comments. Listen, Cammy, no one asked for your head. I can't believe on the even old firm game that someone's actually just put 1-1. That's disgraceful. Have you ever seen anything like that?
That's what he thinks. That's what he thinks.
Yeah, everyone's entitled to their opinion,
even if it's wrong.
Guys, right. So I just want to let the viewers know in the chat. You've got all your main chat, and we've got our private chat where we don't talk amongst ourselves because it's ridiculously difficult to actually be on this and talk. But every now and again, I drop in a comment. I asked the guys if there's anything they wanted to cover. Now, Graham decided that he wanted to suggest the B team result.
On a Rangers YouTube channel, Rangers B team played. Not that I want to talk about it or happy with the result, but it's a talking point on it.
Next. And Craig thankfully suggested, well, Monday define the season. I think we covered that. Anyway. I
don't think it will define the season. I think the season's already been defined by some of the results earlier on, but I don't want to say it's just another game, like Kerr said, because it's not just another game, but
it never will be.
It's an important game, clearly.
Wait till you hit 50, Craig. You were saying the same as me.
Right. I just want to thank everyone for tuning in between Christmas and New Year. It's a ridiculously busy time, and I know you boys here are ridiculously busy as well, particularly Craig, who's undoubtedly travelled here, there, and everywhere. Definitely not to Birmingham. You might claim he has. It's absolutely shocking. I want to wish everyone
go to Birmingham when I was there.
Very good. I want Hogman Day tomorrow. I want to wish everyone a very, very happy New Year. I hope you ring the bells in style, and then on Monday we all get a result. All get the result that we want. Stay safe out there. enjoy. Scott, Craig, Graham, thank you very much for joining me in. I've really enjoyed your company for an hour. I've completely missed this. Do you know, it feels like ages since I've done this. Thanks very much for your patience. My hosting skills have been terrible. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and do all that. If you are watching today on Hogmanay, don't forget to join, because this is the level of content that you get. This is the quality that you get in the members pods. So remember to do that. I'm going to work out the quickest way to do the exit, and I think I've found the button. So I'm going to bid you all adieu. Happy New Year. See you in 2023.